Hello, everyone. This is Nikki with Day Trip Diva, and today's topic is the pros and cons of X, Y, and Z, the place that I want to talk about to visit. And I want to talk about Cumberland Island. Now, I'm a little bit of an expert. I kind of been there 8 times to this island. It is off the coast of St. Mary's, Georgia. So usually what happens is you take a ferry from St. Mary's, and it's 30-minute ride or 45-minute ride to Cumberland Island. And Cumberland Island is uninhabited for the most part. It really is. It's just staff who runs the island, and tourists and campers come and they stay there. Well, the pros of going to Cumberland Island is, adventure, hiking. There's lots of hiking, and they have a ton of different kinds of terrain. So, I actually wrote a blog piece about this, and it was talking about a 2 hour hike that I always do when I go there, starting from the dock where they drop us off to a beach pretty much on the other side of the island. And what's great about this beach is that because the island's uninhabited, there's nobody there. So you spend all day at this beach and you're the only person there. Every now and then you'll see the other hikers and campers walking along, but it's not like Jack's Beach. I live in Jacksonville, Florida, so the beach is there, always crowded, no matter what time of day you go. And it's really great to go to Cumberland Island's beach because there's no one there. And you're out there all by yourself, surrounded by a bunch of carcasses of horseshoe crabs. Yes. So, again, the pro is you get to see all these different types of wild animals. You get to see wild turkeys, wild horses. You get to see some different types of buzzards that I saw. I mean, these things were evil looking. They had red eyes and all. And you get to see other, types of wildlife, and you get to do biking, hiking, or if you want to take a tour, you get to ride along in this really rugged Jeep style bus, and you go further up the island for that. For the tours, you get to go to the Plum Orchard Mansion, and you get to go to the first African American Baptist church that was built on the island, because the island did have slaves, of course. And so yeah, you get to learn about the history, the first family that was there, and also on this hike that I was talking about, you get to see the Dungeness ruins. It was a huge mansion that the family that lived there had built, and it was kind of like their summer home in a way. But slaves worked that land too, and it's a huge mansion with a courtyard, and they got a farming area, and they have this massive yard, and they even have like this greenhouse where they grew, I don't know, special flowers and corn and all that. And so these are the pros of going. Is It's really cool to see all these things in one area, and you can experience all this in the 2 hour hike that I explain on my blog. And I'll put that link in the bottom so you can check it out. Thank you, appreciate it. But yes, so the con of going to Cumberland Island, well, it is a state park, so according to Georgia law, it is unlawful to take anything from a state park. You will know that when you do a orientation for the trip. Before you get on the ferry, you have to arrive at least 20 minutes earlier before the ferry takes off, because the park ranger has to do an orientation explaining all the rules, including you can't take anything off the island except for seashells and shark teeth. So if you find any shark teeth, you are allowed to take that. Seashells, well, they come a dime a dozen. You can take those too. But anything else like sand, don't take any bottles where you're bottling up sand and things like that, because the island's already experiencing a lot of coastal erosion. And you'll see that when you go on the beach side. You'll see all these trees tipped over onto the beach. And you'll see all these roots exposed, and that's from hurricanes, water beating up against these shores and causing all this erosion. Of course, that sand never came back, so these trees have no foundation. And so if everybody's taking a jar of sand, you're not really helping the island. You're hurting it, whether you're helping. So try to leave the sand there, leave the leaves alone, no sticks, no nothing, just shark teeth and seashells. Yeah, so anyways, back to the cons. So I guess one of the cons there is it can get really hot and there's no store, you know, there's like a little, I don't know, visitor center when you get there, but once you've gone onto the hike, there's no little 7-Eleven there where you can buy a ice cold Gatorade and stuff like that. Whatever water you bring is the water you're gonna have. And they do have this station where there's the water fountain. But let's be clear that this water fountain, with the sun beaming down on this place, and it's refiltered water. Just bring your own water. And as far as the other cons, I guess this would be a con. You can't touch the horses. Sorry. You are not allowed to touch the horses. In this orientation that you will be on, you're not even allowed to go near them. You have to use the zoom in feature on your camera in order to get a close-up picture of them. You're not supposed to be within X amount of feet because they are very skittish. I would know. I've been 8 times. I never get close to them, especially their babies. My God, leave the babies alone. It is not worth getting kicked by one. There was an example where a woman got too close to one of the horses, close enough that the horse kicked her, and she was airlifted off of the island. I don't even know if she survived, but I can't imagine what a horse kicking you feels like. I mean, the amount of power they have in their forget it. Anyways, yeah, so I guess you can consider that a con, not being able to touch the horse, but if it prevents you from being airlifted from a island, I would think that's a pro. So, also the other con would be if you are not in shape for the amount of hiking and the different terrains that you have to go through to get to that beach. I guess you can consider it a con, because let me tell you, when you get to the part with the sand dunes, oh yeah, there's a major area of sand, and these aren't the little cutesy little sand dunes that you see on an everyday beach, those little tiny hills with the little sea oats growing out from under it. So cute. No, these sand dunes are massive. And have you ever ran through sand before? Yeah, if you've never ran through sand before, you're going to hate walking through this sand. These sand dunes are insane, and you are literally bent over to cross them. And if you're not in shape, you're going to feel that, because I have never been in shape. So I feel it every time I go. But yes, so the pros and cons, I guess those would be some of the pros and cons. But there's more pros than there are cons. I've been 8 times, and even though I've had to cross those darn sand dunes every time, and I have, it's still the most enjoyable place because it's the easiest money to spend. You get a ferry ride. I don't own a boat, so anytime I can get on a boat, I'm up for it. And so, there's hardly any cons to me. The only con for me is how quick it goes by, because there's only 2 ferry times, and I think there's a 4 p.m. and maybe a 6 or 7. I don't know, but there's 2 ferry times that they come and pick up and drop off, and I always try to make it back on that first one, because that second one might not be guaranteed. You never know what's going to happen. They might run out of gas, or it might start storming later in the evening, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, but the ride's going to have to be delayed, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, no. So I always try to make it back in time. That's why I said a 2-hour hike, but that's to the beach. Now you have to come back. So it's actually a 4-hour hike, and it's worth it. So, But yes, that is the pros and cons of Cumberland Island, and I hope that you guys get to visit it at least once, especially if you are a photographer. There is so much opportunity for photography if you want to show off to your friends, and it's great for places, selfies, and if you are a hiker, especially. Um, if you like to do hiking or especially biking, if you love to do biking, that is the one for you because I would love to see you guys try to ride over those dunes. But yes, so yeah. So this is Nikki again with Day Trip Diva. Check out that blog post I'm going to post down below, and I hope to see you guys again.